I mean, I think he is a war criminal. This ICC, we have not done that in the United States because we're concerned about our soldiers or people being brought under it. But I do think that he should be held accountable.
What's going on, folks? We have a great Dream Rare podcast for you today. Presidential hopeful Ron DeSantis calls Vladimir Putin a war criminal, calls Russia a gas station with nuclear capabilities, sounding eerily similar to Mitt Romney and John McCain.
Russia is a gas station masquerading as a country.
John McCain famously opined that Russia is a gas station parading as a country.
He's basically a gas station with a bunch of nuclear weapons.
An old video surfaced of him with a mask on vaccinating a 100-year-old war veteran who apparently died 4 months later has resurfaced, and a lot of people are talking about it. I'm gonna keep it real about this stuff because unlike most influencers, I have no problem being honest about two political candidates, and I'm not under some sort of cult-like spell that prevents me from being accurate, honest. Ye, formerly known as Kanye West, has taken to Instagram, posting the poster from 21 Jump Street, saying that watching Jonah Hill in 21 Jump Street made me like Jewish people again. I'll read his full statement there. A lot of people are saying Kanye's backing down. A lot of people are saying he's waking up. I don't see it either one of those ways, so I'll tell you my take. And then we have a few more goodies for you guys. All right, folks, show starts now. It's the Dream Rare Podcast. Welcome to the show. The way to get the news at the desk or on the road. Let's go. God is great and success in our control. The world is crazy, but we get better from obstacles. What's going on, everybody? Welcome to a rare but live episode of a Saturday broadcast. There were two stories I really wanted to talk about, so I figured I'd come live today. The first one is I want to go over some things that DeSantis is getting called out for on Twitter and social media. I've talked about how toxic like the Trump versus DeSantis fight has been, but there are some valid things to point out. And I want to do my job like always. I don't just fall for one politician or the other. So I want to keep it fair, keep it real, and call it like I see it, like I always do. And then I want to talk about Ye posted on Instagram that Jonah Hill made him like Jews again because he watched 21 Jump Street. Pretty funny. I'm excited to talk about that, obviously. So let's watch the first clip real quick of Piers Morgan and DeSantis talk about Putin real quick. All right.
What's your view of Putin?
Look, I think he's got grand ambitions. I think he's hostile to the United States. But I think the thing that we've seen is he doesn't have the conventional capability to realize his ambitions. And so he's basically a gas station with a bunch of nuclear weapons. And so for us, one of the things we could be doing better is utilizing our own energy resources in the United States. We could be permitting natural gas pipelines from Marcellus.
Yeah, I agree with them about the natural gas, but a lot of people are firing back at DeSantis saying that's what McCain and Romney used to say. They used to call it a gas station. You know, Russia's just a gas station. So he's rehashing old phrases and lines from neocons like Romney and McCain, which is a valid, pointing that stuff out. I have to say this, whether it's Trump or DeSantis or any Republican, when it comes to this idea of making America great again, like we want to make America better, you could call Russia just a gas station with nuclear weapons, but they have a culture, they have history. I've been to Florida, I've been to Fort Lauderdale. I saw more rainbow flags in Fort Lauderdale than I did churches. No joke. I don't think I saw a single church. I saw at least like 20 rainbow flags. I'm not kidding. So just like you call Russia nuclear whatever, it's like a gas station with a nuclear weapons, I could call America basically just a big gay club with a CVS pharmacy for pills and vaccines attached to it and a McDonald's on the other side. We're basically a big gay club. They're building churches. I'm just saying. I don't care what your religion is, what you think. I'm just calling it like I see it. But part of the Make America Great Again agenda to me, whether it's any Republican, is I want to make America better and focus on us. Yes, I understand that we're in a war with Russia, no question. But to me, I'm not just going to say, oh, that's all that country is. Just like China. Listen, we're at war with China. I understand their politicians. China has a rich history of legends like Confucius, etc. Yeah, the regime is bad now, and as far as Russia, I understand what's going on. But, to me, to downplay an entire country just as a gas station with a nuclear weapon, basically copying the rhetoric of McCain and Romney, it's corny, it's played out, and I just think it's kind of lame, personally, because America has its issues too. So I'm not a self-hater or anything, but can we fix our country, please? Speaking of which, here's the part that also got him in a little bit of hot water, I would say, which is him essentially saying that Putin is a war criminal.
There is a move now to hold him accountable for war crimes, bombing maternity hospitals, and genocidal activity in parts of Ukraine, wiping out whole cities, Mariupol and others. Would you support that?
I mean, I think he is a war criminal. This ICC, we have not done that in the United States because we're concerned about our soldiers or people being brought under it. But I do think that he should be held accountable.
So he thinks Putin's a war criminal who should be held accountable, but he's cautious to doing anything about it because they might hold American troops accountable. Was George Bush a war criminal? Was Barack Obama a war criminal? Was Hillary Clinton a war criminal? Were we allowed to invade Syria or Libya or Yemen or Somalia or, all these countries, Ukraine even? Lindsey Graham was over there in 2016, basically waging war, with his rhetoric. But yeah, we're going to call other people war criminals. I understand. I'm not a quote unquote Putin sympathizer. I understand the complexities of the war. But to me, it's just like, as much as there's things I like about DeSantis, he does sound like a classic politician to me, where he just will flip-flop on certain things. Like, I'm against the Ukraine war, but he's a war criminal and he needs to be held accountable. How are you going to hold him accountable without holding every U.S. politician accountable? I personally don't like that rhetoric, and I think, on foreign policy, there's a reason that a lot of people have red flags on him. I'm going to play this other clip of him, and here's what I want to say real quick, because there's a lot of people that all they do is just drink the Kool-Aid, so they think their whole political analysis has to be basically like, I either obsess over this candidate like they're a deity, or I hate them with the heat of 1,000 suns. I don't hate Trump or DeSantis. I'm trying to do news journalism. I'm not a bobblehead. I'm not a professional fan. I think a lot of influencers, you think they do journalism, you think they're doing analysis, but really they're just like politicians, right? They're hanging out with the politicians, they're getting donor money, they're getting booked. Like, a lot of influencers are basically just politicians who get the better end of the stick because they get the money and they don't have to like run it through a campaign. So it's like, I'm not a politician. I'm not endorsing anybody. I'm trying to call it like I see it. So when people will say to me, they'll be like, oh, you're coming back to the Trump train, or, oh, you're criticizing DeSantis. Let's be real. I questioned DeSantis in 2019 when he passed the anti-Semitism speech laws, not because I hate anybody, but because I love the First Amendment and I don't believe in hate speech. And I don't believe criminalizing hate speech or trying to outlaw protests. I don't think that's a way to get racial cohesion together. I think that's a terrible idea. And when all these people who hate DeSantis now were just worshiping him 3 years ago because nobody told them to dislike DeSantis, I was calling it like I saw it with him back then too. So it's like, I'm just going to get ahead of it where people are like, oh, he's switching, he's flip-flopping. I'm really not. I understand that Trump and DeSantis are both politicians. I think my job as a news reporter, as a social media influencer, whatever you want to call me, is to stand with my country, stand with my constitution, stand with my people, and call it like I see it, not just like blindly worship one or either side. So I'm not switching up. I've criticized DeSantis in the past. I'm sure I will now. And I wouldn't even call it criticism. It's just trying to weave through what's going on and just be honest about it. So, let me play this other clip of DeSantis, and I'm going to just be as raw and real as I can be. And this will be lost on a few people, but most of my audience is incredibly intelligent. We have a great crowd of people. I want to just tell a story real quick. I was parallel parking the other day. I get recognized a lot. And this guy's like, Anomaly. He's waving to me and I'm trying to wave to him, but I'm like, bro, he was in a truck. He's like, I follow you. I watch your shows. And I was like, I'm parallel parking, my guy. I almost hit the curb because I was trying to say hi and be respectful. Because when people say hi, I like to be polite and not just ignore them and act like I'm so cool because I like talking to people and being real. But I'm like, dude, I'm parallel parking right now, my brother. So I know that 99% of people who watch me don't comment. We have great people, and most of the people who comment are amazing. So I don't want to just focus on the negative or whatever, because I know it's big and I know a lot of people like it. So let's play this clip, and then we're going to shoot down the middle.
He's a World War II veteran. He's 100 years old. He's had a remarkable career of service to our country and to the state of Florida. He was a state senator here. He knew Charles Lindbergh. He knows Buzz Aldrin, Joe DiMaggio, presidents from Truman to Reagan, and he's an American hero. He's 100 years old, and he's got the opportunity now to get the vaccine, so we're excited.
Apparently, that guy died a few months later. So, for those listening on audio only, that video was an old video of DeSantis wearing a mask, looking like a snowflake, but wearing a mask, basically proud of vaccinating a 100-year-old war veteran who died 4 months later. People who don't care will say, well, he was 100 years old. He was going to die at some point. Others would say, that's pretty whack. And I want to try to I really just want to unravel all of this tangling that I see people doing mentally, and I want to break it down. So it's okay to like Trump more than DeSantis. It's okay to like DeSantis more than Trump. It's okay to understand that Trump has pretty good foreign policy, but you might see some holes in it and call it out. That's okay. It's okay to trust. Well, I wouldn't really trust anybody, but it's okay to be like, no, I think DeSantis could handle it, or say, no, I don't think he can. That's okay. It's okay to have a preference. It's okay to question both politicians and wonder what their weak points are. It's okay to say, hey, that's actually terrible, and DeSantis, is whack for that. I mean, it's a whack clip. I think it's whack. You won't find a video of me like that because I would never do that. So I'm not going to make excuses for DeSantis doing something I never did. But then what a bunch of these Trumpy people don't understand, because they literally just don't ever criticize or rather report on him, is they'll straight up just be like, oh, well, see, since he did that, it's the same as what Trump's doing. And here's, in my opinion, it doesn't make what DeSantis did good, but the difference between Trump and DeSantis, if I were to say their big pharma differences, is DeSantis hired Joseph Ladapo. So he hired somebody fighting big pharma and not recommending it. DeSantis turned the corner on it, and he doesn't act like that anymore. And Trump is still acting like that. So yes, I think people should criticize that video of DeSantis. Yes, I think it's going viral for a reason. Yes, I believe he should answer to it. But I'm not a cultist where it's like, oh, because of that, that means that Trump is like innocent and they're just the same. No, it's not. It's 2023 and Donald Trump is still lying about the vaccine. He pushes harder rhetoric than even Bill Gates does in 2023 on the COVID vaccine, because Trump was the one who funded it. So it doesn't mean DeSantis should be praised for doing that. And it doesn't mean Trump is off the hook for doing what he's doing. There is a difference. And I don't understand why people can't grasp all that stuff, because they think it's like you got to like the Raiders or the Bears and you just got to hate the other side. And now Trump's off the hook. It's like, at least DeSantis has woken up from that spell, and now he's not doing that, and his hires are better. Trump, he still hired a pharmacy lobbyist to run HHS. Trump still hired Scott Gottlieb to run FDA, and Trump still hired Jerome Adams, who's a terrible surgeon general. So I still think DeSantis has the edge in hiring when it comes to big pharma. He does. I still think DeSantis has the edge because he actually woke up and turned around, and Trump's still going in the wrong direction. But that doesn't mean DeSantis is completely innocent. Just on lockdowns and everything, people for some reason can't grasp this, and then they'll say to me, "Oh, you're coming around now." I've been the same person. When you guys were all licking Ron DeSantis's boots, calling him the best governor ever, I was doing reporting saying I don't agree with his anti-Semitism laws. Same with Trump. I don't agree with that stuff. So it's like, it's just, I don't know if it would be irony, but it's funny, the same people that never had anything bad to say about DeSantis or never criticized a single thing he did until Trump told them to. It's like, here's what you think now, and then everybody just thinks that and thinks that he's off the hook for everything he did. It's a false paradigm. They want you to fight Trump and DeSantis when most of the same donors control both of them. Most of the flaws that they have, they're both controlled. I think Trump is slightly better on foreign policy. I think DeSantis is slightly better on holding big pharma accountable. And it's completely okay to understand that in order to get results in the Republican Party, we want to basically call out the nonsense of both sides, because both parties print the money, both parties fund the vaccine, both parties sell the vaccine, and then some politicians wake up 2 years later when it's too late. Others never wake up. And you could ask yourself, what's worse, lying for 20 years or lying for 2 years when it mattered and then starting to tell the truth when it's too late? I'm kind of disgusted by both of them. I think DeSantis is showing his true colors on foreign policy. I don't like his comments about Putin. I'm not saying you have to love Putin and respect Putin, but make America great again to me, and like conservatism to me means make America great, not make Ukraine great, not make make Africa gayer or go to Afghanistan and share rainbow flags. It doesn't mean go criticize the rest of the world. It means look at ourselves and make our country better. Build the wall, clean up the cities, and then we could talk about foreign countries. But we're an embarrassment right now. So, personally, I don't want to hear DeSantis talk about how Russia's just this or that. We're basically a giant gay club with a CVS pharmacy and a McDonald's in it. That's what America's turned into. I love America. We have great mountains, great culture, but we're suffering. So, let's stop pointing the finger at other world leaders, and we could battle them and whatever, but America's never going to change until we change within. I don't like his comments on Piers Morgan. I think that video was whack of him like vaccinating a 100-year-old who ended up dying. But I don't think that lets Trump off the hook. And I still don't like what Trump influencers are doing, which is acting like a cult around Donald Trump, ignoring all of his corruption, ignoring all his neocon ties, ignoring the fact that he's on stage with Lindsey Graham, ignoring the fact that he hired pharmacy lobbyists, ignoring the fact that he took money from Pfizer, ignoring the fact that he turned his back on RFK Jr. and then ended up going with Fauci, ignoring the fact that Trump's still lying about the vaccine in 2023 when DeSantis and Joseph Ladapo aren't. I don't like that either. And this is how I'm going to be. I'm not flip-flopping. I'm not changing. I see that both of them are politicians. I see that both of them are lobbyable. And I believe that the conservative base will get results when they have a spine and a brain and they use those two things. I don't understand the people that think you just have to like one of these candidates and then just like ride or die and like everything he does is great and the other one needs to be like that type of mentality needs to stop and divide and conquer. If Republicans want to fight like children for 2 years over Trump and DeSantis, it's not the play. Call them both out, have a preference, challenge them, try to make them really prove themselves. But don't fight with your own friends and your own neighbors over Trump and DeSantis. To me, it's a false paradigm. To me, it's a waste of time. But I'm going to continue to do the reporting that other people won't. I have no problem calling out DeSantis when I disagree. I did it before it was cool. I have no problem calling out Trump. And I don't do it from a position of, I think I'm so great or I think it's so easy. I understand politics is complex, but I also know how it works. They take lobbying money, they're surrounded by swampers, and sometimes they get corrupt. And the only way to change that is for us to care about our Constitution, our country, the truth, our morals. We need to care about that over cult of personality and just liking one team or one party or one person. That's the only way to change it. I don't think I'm holier than thou. I understand Trump and DeSantis have a difficult life, but our job is to stand up for what we believe in and tell the truth, not just follow a politician and act like it doesn't matter when they do the things. Like when Biden prints the money, it's socialism. But when Trump prints the money, it's not socialism, or there's an excuse for it. This is why we get knocked back and forth like a ping pong ball and nothing changes. So I believe in the people. I believe we'll get results, but challenge Trump the same way you challenge DeSantis. I will never stop anybody from telling the truth about DeSantis, but do the same, have that same energy with Trump and we'll get results. If you only call out one side of this equation, we're not really going anywhere, in my view. All right, let's talk about the next story, which is Ye, formerly known as Kanye West. I want to be respectful because he likes to be called Ye, but he was once Kanye West. He posted a poster of Jonah Hill and Channing Tatum on 21 Jump Street. And then he captioned it and he said, "Watching Jonah Hill in 21 Jump Street made me like Jewish people again. No one should take anger against one or two individuals and transform that into hatred towards millions of innocent people. No Christian can be labeled anti-Semite knowing Jesus is Jew. Thank you, Jonah Hill. I love you." So some people are saying, Ye sold out. He gave up. He caved. Others are saying, Ye woke up. He's not hateful anymore. I'm going to start it with this. I do love 21 Jump Street. I've seen that movie. I do think it's really funny. Channing Tatum and Jonah Hill are both pretty funny in it. I like that movie. Just a side note, I don't see many movies. I saw that one. I like it. So that's anomaly approved. I mean, I'm not endorsing it for office or anything, but it's a funny movie. With that being said, I think that this shows that Jonah Hill and just being funny in a movie is actually more effective than the NBA crying about Kyrie Irving. It's more effective than Adidas shutting down his deal or the banks for taking away Ye's money. It's more effective than the Anti-Defamation League. The Anti-Defamation League and whatever that guy's name is, Greenblatt, I forget his first name. What's his name? Jonathan Greenblatt. That's one of the worst, in my opinion, most evil organizations in America. And the fact that he thinks that's going to stop anti-Semitism is shocking. So it's like these people like the Sean Kings of the world and the Jonathan Greenblatts of the world, they act like they're stopping racism and anti-Semitism, but really what they're doing is there's such a poor representation, or there's such a wicked and like annoying representation of their people, that it actually makes more and more people hate them. Like the Anti-Defamation League has for sure done more damage than they've ever done good. I look at Jonathan Greenblatt and I'm like, yikes. If I'm not that race, but if I was, I would be embarrassed that he's representing me. With that being said, this is what I've always said. If you're Jewish, just be cool. I know people don't want to hear that, but if you're a cool Jew, it makes people like you more. If you're a trustworthy Jew, it makes people like you more. If you're an honest, black person or white person or whatever, Italian, Asian, the coolest thing you could do is be cool. When you're good at basketball, they like Luka Doncic. When you're good at, music, people like you. Like people like Kyrie Irving because he stood up for what he believed in. So, the best activism you could do if you're doing race activism is just don't be annoying. Don't be fake and don't be cringe. The most cringe people call themselves black activists, Jewish activists, whatever, and it just doesn't work. So if you really want to stop racial tension, you got to be cool. And I just think it's funny that what really changed Ye's opinion wasn't, Lex Friedman being annoying and fake. It wasn't Jonathan Greenblatt being a psycho. It wasn't like Adidas stealing all his money. It wasn't a bunch of Jewish executives pretending like they don't exist, cutting them off. It was a funny movie. I mean, it might be a joke to people and people might not care, but I really do think that that's how you have to operate life. Like, self-awareness, self-accountability. If you're annoying, you're not an activist. You're just annoying. So I think that's how you stop a lot of the hate. With that being said, some people are going to say that Ye is caving. I know a lot of people in the comments are like, yo, he's caving. If I read what he wrote, to me, I don't think he's caving because he always kind of operates in this I love everybody. He never really said he hated everybody, but I do think that Ye was fighting fire with fire. Jewish executives, Jewish trainers, or should we call them individuals? I don't know. Is Tim Pool watching? Do we have to call it an individual? We don't. Or is Lex Friedman watching? We don't know who they are. They're just individuals who all happen to be a certain ethnic group, but I can't talk about it. Ye noticed all this stuff around him, and I think when he first noticed it and first kind of saw the deception of it, he's not a quiet person. I mean, Ye's the type to take a mic from Taylor Swift and say, your video sucks. He's a bold guy. So he went all in. And basically when he fought that fire with fire, in my view, I can't speak for everybody, but I saw nothing wrong with his Drink Champs podcast. The first one that went viral and they started calling him anti-Semitic, I watched the whole thing. He was talking about Zionism. He was talking about Jewish ownership. It was definitely not politically correct, but who cares? I don't believe political correctness is good. So I love that podcast. It was one of my favorite podcasts I ever heard. And then everybody started coming down on Ye. Once they started coming down on him when he didn't even do that much, instead of caving, Ye did the opposite thing. He went in the total other direction. And it was this game of like telling a kid in a candy store, don't touch that. He's like, I'm Ye. I'm formerly known as Kanye West. You can't tell me nothing. That's one of his best songs. Can't tell me nothing. So instead of caving to, I would say, Jewish Hollywood pressure or whatever you'd want to call it, the individuals that were mad at him or whoever, he went the other direction. He said, I'm going to go further and further and further. So it became this kind of battle between him and the individuals. It was like, he did the Drink Champs podcast. They cried and tried to take his stuff away. He went further. They took more away. He went further. They took his Adidas deal away. He went further. They took his bank away. He went further. And, the rest is history from the Alex Jones show. So it's like, it was this game of like, you do this, I do this. And he was kind of just pushing back. And then he kind of disappeared for a couple months. Someone say, oh, where's Ye? I'm worried about him. But I've been a supporter, and I would say, I don't know if you'd call it fan, but I love not only his music, but I love his interviews. I've loved his interviews for the last decade. But anyway, when he went away, everyone's like, where did he go? Did he cave? Did he disappear? I told people, just based off of how he operates, he's done this before. This is not uncommon. He'll burst out, he'll make a scene, he'll do something wild, and then he'll disappear for like a year. He won't tweet, he won't Instagram, and then he'll be on Instagram, and then he'll Instagram like 50 times in a month, and then he'll disappear. This is what he does often. So I wasn't worried about him, really. I was like, this isn't abnormal for him. He likes to just make a move and then disappear. And I think it's honestly smart in some ways, because who wants to be in the media attention all the time? It's better to just lay low, enjoy your life, live in reality, and then come back. So I didn't see it as him leaving or caving. And even this statement, I mean, we'll see what he says when he comes out. But I personally don't see this as him caving. It's one Instagram tweet. It's one Instagram post about 21 Jump Street. It is what it is. You know, I'm not going to jump on either bandwagon of either side. Let's let the guy do an interview. I want to hear where his head's at in a full interview. Maybe I'll be the one to do it. Who knows? With that being said, you know, I'm going to say something that might make both sides uncomfortable, but I'm doing it because it's how I really feel. To make people who called him anti-Semitic uncomfortable, you know, he could have worded things in a way that would have made people feel better, but so could have Donald Trump when he talked about building the wall, and so could a lot of people, but who cares? Who cares about political correctness? Wow, whatever. There's a lot of truth to what he's been saying. Like, for example, I do find it very hypocritical that Jewish executives can push music that's like murder and pill music, but they're not accountable. But then, you know, they'll say white this and white that. It's like everybody has a group. They care about their own group. They defend their own group. They're allowed to exploit other people. But then when you call it out, they just don't exist anymore. And it's like, I see the hypocrisy. Like Tim Pool will say white liberals, white Antifa, but you can't say Jewish executives. So you can group everybody together except for them because they don't want to be noticed or whatever. It's just totally coincidence, whatever. I see the hypocrisy there. Also, when it comes to the fake definition of racism, the fake definition of racism that they've recently remade is like, you can only be racist against people who have more systemic power than you or something, because they don't want to let white people in on the conversation. So they just say, oh, you know, black people can't be racist against white people because it's systemic and, you know, they have more power. So you can hate them, but it's not racism. And it's like, what does that mean? So then I would ask the question, a lot of these Jewish executives, they don't see themselves as white. They see the white people and others as goyim, which means non-Jew. So they're a specific ethnic group that sees themselves different than white. So if they're constantly hating on white people and they have more systemic power, they're in more powerful positions, doesn't that make it quote unquote racism that you're beating down on like random people in Kentucky, random white people when you own record companies? How is that fair? And everybody notices the double standard between black and white and Jewish. We all see the double standards. We all see the hypocrisy, whether it's liberal to conservative, whether it's race. The hypocrisy is blatant, and the people who cry the most are usually the biggest perpetrators of the hate. So everybody sees that stuff. And I think that everything that Ye was talking about that is extremely valid. On that note, the one thing that I did see from him is I do think that, you know, he was being very spiteful. You know, he was being like, you're going to do that, I'm going to do this. And I think, you know, when you lead with love, and a lot of times Ye was, but at certain points he's like, yo, I'm jealous of them. I see what they're doing and I want to replicate it for the black community or whatever. You know, I do think sometimes when you figure something out or it just first hits you, you kind of just go your wildest form, and then you kind of dial it in at a certain point and you're like, all right, I'm not going to sell out and I'm not going to cave, but I'm going to word it better. And I'm going to try to understand that, you know, although it is a high majority of things, I'm not going to necessarily, you know, keep with the same rhetoric that I was, and I'm going to be more pinpoint with it. So, you know, I don't think this is a cave in my view. I think he was going super hard in the paint. I don't know that it was sustainable to keep going that hard for so long. And I don't see it to be a bad idea as long as he doesn't come out and just say like, oh, nothing I said was true. I went to the museum. You know, I did my Nick Cannon thing. Like, that would be selling out, but he hasn't done that. He just posted a 21 Jump Street thing and said, hey, I like people again. Maybe he was in his heart. Maybe he was being a little too hateful. It doesn't mean what he was saying is wrong in many ways. It's just like, he knows his own energy. He knows his own emotions. And in my view, as a man or a woman, but there's nothing wrong with being like, you know what? I'm not sorry for everything I said. I'm not taking back what I said, but I can have a better energy to it. I've done that. I've argued with people on here. And then after the live stream, I'm not ashamed of what I said. I'm not going to change my views and I'm not going to sell out, but I wouldn't redo that energy again. I'm like, why am I fighting with like a 65-year-old mom on Facebook, like yelling? And I've had those moments in 2020, 2021 where I'm like, I don't want to do that again. I'm not completely apologizing for everything, but there's nothing wrong with, dialing it back and realizing that there's a better energy to put into that. So I'm not Ye. I don't really know what he's up to or where he's been, but I don't see it as selling out. And I don't see it like the other side sees, like, oh, he's caving. He learned his lesson. Nothing he said was true. He was dropping a lot of truth bombs. And I'll just end it on this when it comes to race and ethnicity and religion. I believe that you should judge each individual by the content of their character. I don't believe if you're a Jew or you're Caucasian or you're, Italian or you're black or whatever, or you're Native American, I don't believe you're responsible for the net sum of everything everyone's done of your race. I don't believe that. I truly don't. I think you should judge people by individuals. With that being said, I also think race and religion exists. I don't agree with the people, including many conservatives, that want to play this game and say race doesn't exist. It doesn't matter. Well, if it doesn't matter, then let's take out all the Muslims and Islamic people and Saudis. Let's take them all out of Saudi Arabia, and then let's put in Africans. And let's change Dubai. Let's just put in all Indian people and take out all the Islamic people. Is it going to change? Of course it's going to change. The culture is going to change. The language is going to change. The food's going to change. The crime rate's probably going to change. The politics are going to change. Everything's going to change. So I'm balancing these two truths in my head that most people don't want to admit. Some people don't want to admit that you need to judge people by who they are. It's true. Other people, I see a lot of conservatives be like, I don't get it. It doesn't matter. It kind of does, though, because when you change the demographics of an area, things are going to change. It's just true. You can't just copy paste an entire group of people, different religion, different race, copy paste them into a community, completely flip it, and think nothing's going to change. Of course it's going to change. So I don't agree with the conservatives or liberals that say it doesn't mean anything. It means something. Like, I'm not saying you're a great person just because you're this or that, but like, there is certain differences that you notice, and it doesn't make you a racist to talk about those differences and pros and cons that you see on average. You don't need to judge every Asian with the net sum of Asians, but if you notice certain patterns, it doesn't make you hateful. It's probably just basic, root level science, genetics, etc. So, this is a tough point for people to get in. And in America, I think people are waking up because they see the double standards, they see the hypocrisy, they see the fact that liberals get away with more, and then they see the fact that, if you're white, there's a lot of things that are systemic. And I'm not saying to play the victim because you're no victim, but you notice that they're going out of their way to exclude you. And also you notice that certain people can do things that you can't do. If you do it, it's racist. If they do it, it's activism. And, I personally, sorry if this offends you, but I enjoyed the Kyrie Irving and like Jewish executive back and forth because it just showed people when black people are told, oh, your victim card is the highest and your activism matters and you're the most oppressed. Not really, because if you ever put your victim card above the Hollywood Jewish victim card, they freak out at you. So it was to me, it was like a master class for humanity to see, you can do the victim thing and yell at whites or whatever, but like if you ever pinpoint Jewish people, we're going to ruin your life. So what does it mean to be a black activist if you can only talk about white people, but not Jewish people in the same way? It should show you who's really it should show you where the power really is. And that could be called hate speech because some people think the truth is hate speech. So there's a lot of validity to what Ye was talking about. He could have said it in better ways for certain people to take certain things, but that's not the way the world is. Everyone doesn't speak the same. Everyone doesn't act the same. And, life is not perfect and people are true to themselves and they have moments and they get to decide where they go. So when it comes to Ye, we'll see what his next move is. This is an interesting one, but I don't see it either way. Like, I don't think he's sold out. I don't think he's caving. I don't think he's learned his lesson and he's a totally different person. I'll see with more evidence, but it was a cultural moment. And with the Ye and Kyrie stuff, although it got ugly at times, there was a lot to be revealed, and I think like people noticed more than they ever have, just certain things that they weren't really aware of. I want to play this clip real quick. It's not really related, but it kind of is. So this is going viral on Twitter. I think I saw John Miller post it. It's these Jewish people in Newark apparently like doing a fundraiser for Ukraine. And then this guy comes in and is like, why are you raising money for Ukraine? And to me, this clip should be in a museum. And I'm going to explain why. I actually think it's hilarious. All right.
It's young black brothers dying in Newark, New Jersey, and y'all talking about save Ukraine. Why are we saving Ukraine?
It's a terrible war. We gotta give them money. They need money. They need our support.
We need money too.
Everyone needs money.
We need help too.
We give for everyone. You know what? Next week, come back. We give for the black community. We love the black community. We're living here. It's so peaceful and pleasant with all you guys. You guys are the best. You guys are the greatest. And next week, come here, same time, same place. We'll give for the black.
If I could put that clip in a museum, I would, because there's so many different layers to that clip that I just find hilarious that I just can't help but love it. The first thing that I find hilarious is the fact that, you know, it's always funny when people are raising money for Ukraine, because it's like, how much money do we need to send to Ukraine? Our government's already sent hundreds of millions of dollars to Ukraine. Why do you need to send more money? One, I think it's kind of hilarious that there's just Hasidic Jews on the street of Newark. It's not the safest neighborhood. I mean, Newark, they have some nice stuff there for sure. Obviously, there's some great people there, but Newark is a rough neighborhood. So they just posted up in Newark. Maybe they live there. Maybe they're just chilling there. To go to probably a mostly black neighborhood and raise money for Ukraine, like, there's just so many levels to it. One, it's kind of bold to just pull up in Newark and do that. I mean, they have some pretty big balls. Two, it's just hilarious that they're like, I think that black dude is on point. He's like, we need money. Why are you giving our money to a foreign country? Like, that guy's kind of based. Three, like, what? You know, the one guy's got a basketball. It's just like such a multi-layered moment. Billions. Okay, yeah, billion. I'm sorry. Did I say millions? I meant what? Over 100 billion or something? What? 50 billion, 60 billion, 80 billion? I apologize if I said billions. Yeah, we sent so much money. So it's like, how much money are you going to raise in Newark to send to Zelensky? Like, what are you going to raise? 50 bucks, 10 bucks, 100 bucks? Our government's giving billions of dollars of taxpayer money to them. Like, they need your little like $80 Girl Scout cookie donation. It's a wild video. I just thought it was hilarious, like multi-layered. It should be in a museum, studied, and it's one of those paintings that you could see. Sorry if I hit that. It's one of those paintings that you could see like 50 different things in one thing. I'd put it in a museum if there was one for videos. Let me know what you guys think. That's the stories of the day. I'll read a few comments, and then I'm going to keep this under 45 minutes. First story of the day was DeSantis called Putin a war criminal, and old videos resurface of him. My summary of that, to keep it really brief, is it's all good to call out DeSantis. It's all good to call out Trump. I'm not going to like cover this stuff up like people think, like, oh, I'm a DeSimp. I'm really not. I'll call him out. I'll point out the inconsistencies. I just hope people do that with Trump. I have no problem doing that with DeSantis. Both sides need to be challenged. The Republican Party is not to be trusted, okay? In the last administration, they printed too much money. They caved to vaccines. I don't think DeSantis should get a pass, and I don't think that Trump should get a pass. But people will freak out at me because they think Trump should get a pass, but DeSantis shouldn't get a pass. Have that same energy with Trump. I got no problem with calling out D. Just keep it real. Stop being so phony and like sports teamy. It's weird. Second story, the Ye thing. We'll see what he does. We'll see where he goes, but that last 3 months where he was just on a tear was like a historical moment. I mean, I've never seen anything like it. He's on Alex Jones talking about Owen Benjamin with Fuentes, you know, talking about Germany, talking about Zionism. Like, that was a wild 3 months, you know? People are mad at Ye. Oh, he's got to do this or that. Bro, give the guy a break, okay? He went balls to the wall, ruffled a lot of feathers, lost a lot of money. Give the boy a break, okay? You could call him a sellout if he Actually, I don't even know if Whoopi Goldberg's a sellout or she's just stupid, but, you know, give him some time. Give him some time. See what he does. It's one Instagram post. But that just shows how powerful his social clout is. One Instagram post can be a news story. Let's read some comments. Someone said NASA in Hebrew means to deceive. I've heard that before. I haven't fully verified it, but I've heard that. NASA is like, dude, astronauts just crush. They're like Ukraine. You know, they just take your taxpayer money. You're not quite sure what they're doing, but you just know they deserve all your money. NASA's like, they're the original Ukraine. They're like, we need over the course of time, like $500 billion, you know, like 20, 30 a year. Why do you need $500 billion? They're like, you know, because we're NASA. I'm like, what do you do though? They're like, you know, we like go to the moon. It's like, when's the last time you went to the moon? They're like the 1960s, 1970s. Like, how come you haven't gone back? They're like, the telemetry data got deleted, or the woman's spacesuits don't fit, or we had the technology, but we destroyed it. Or I'm like, how much money do you guys need again? They're like, you know, 20, 30 a year. I'm like, dollars? No, billion. Okay. Nothing to see there. Shout out Werner von Braun, you know, the apparently founder or architect of the U.S. space program, formerly from Germany, that just for somehow came to America and created a space program. Anyway. Someone said America was built on toxic hip hop culture. I don't think America was built on hip hop culture. You think like Thomas Jefferson and Ben Franklin were just banging out to like 21 Savage or something? I wouldn't say America was built on rap culture. I would say in the last 30, 40 years, rap culture has become prominent. And in my view, the message, the lyrics, it is very toxic. It's become a little much. And I do think that the record industry should take responsibility. They're making money off of telling, like, you know, people to kill each other and steal from each other. Like, it's very evil music. Not all of it. I'm a hip hop artist. I love a lot of hip hop. There's a lot of great people. I'm not damning the whole, it's like saying all country's bad. No, I love hip hop. It's one of my favorite genres, obviously. But it is very toxic, and mainstream rap is disgusting. And, you know, if I ran a record label, I would never put out music like that. But they just put it out like it's nothing. Why? Why are they putting out music that ends people dead or in jail? Why are they putting up violent music that makes people do crimes? I'm not blaming them specifically, but it's a cultural thing. It's like, we need to change the culture. And, you know, we can react to other things, but I think a good way to do that is make cool music, make cool films, you know, create the content that they're not creating and do it better. So we have the power to do that. So, you know, the good artists, the good musicians, the good creators, we got to start making good stuff, you know? And at first, I'll say this, there's never been a better time to do it. It used to be like, well, there's more money here, there's more money there. You know, there's ways to make your own money on the internet. Yes, it's not easy. Maybe it's easier to go corporate, but there's never been a better time to get the hell away from the demons in the industry and just do your own thing. There's a market for it. People will enjoy it. It might be difficult and go against the grain, but it's better than wearing a mask and injecting yourself with 3 mRNA shots just to hang out with some left-wing guy that you don't even like. I mean, you know, that the pros and cons of both sides are starting to lean towards, you get what I'm saying? It's never been a better time to make good culture. There's a huge market for it. We're not victims. We just have to do stuff. And this is my thing with politics. Like, I think a lot of people get too hooked on politics because it's like, and obviously I do politics. I'm not trying to be a hypocrite or anything, but you know, they're like, oh, I love Trump and he's going to save my world. To me, that's a diversion to get you from actually doing something as an American and contributing. Same with like, oh, I hate Trump, and if he gets arrested, America's saved. No, like, what are liberals thinking? Like, they're still blaming Trump for like what? Los Angeles, San Francisco. Do they not notice their cities are turning into zombie hellscapes? So, you know, a lot of politics is basically like it's like a hero versus villain fairy tale to just like brainwash both sides from stopping to make root level solutions in their community, in their culture. Some things are not going to change if Trump or DeSantis gets in. And that's not to blame them. It's just like, you know, if you run circles around these people, life is going to pass us by and our country is going to keep fading. We need to really crush on our level, you know, which I don't think we're doing. That's why the Make America Great Again that appeals to me, or the, you know, fix our country, is like, yeah, let's do it. Let's not. China is corrupt. I wouldn't want to live there, but you know, like, America is at the point now where we are embarrassing ourselves on a national scale. You asked me 10 years ago, America's more free. America's more is more moral. Now, I'm not really sure. Yeah, China's communist. China locks down too much and you have no power there. I wouldn't want to live in China. I like America better. But if you look at culturally, they're raising their young boys to be strong, and we're raising our young boys to turn into girls. Like, which one is better? You can decide. You know, Russia is building churches. They're outlawing a lot of the or the degeneracy, and America is turning into Sodom and Gomorrah. Like, do I want to live in Russia? No. Am I Russian? No. Am I a Putin sympathizer? No. But am I so blown away with America that I think we're so amazing and free? Not really. We're one of the least free countries when it comes to vaccination passports for incoming travelers. We're one of like 5 or 10 countries that still won't allow unvaccinated people into our country. That's why I say we're like a gay pharmacy with a McDonald's attached to it. If Russia's a gas station, I want to see a politician say, hey, we need to fix all these issues and then we'll talk about other people. I'm tired of this whole like, oh, we got to, like, listen, China is China's business. The trade, our business. War, our business. Border, our business. But we don't need to fight in Mexico. We don't need to fight in China or Russia. Like, we need to focus on ourselves because we're embarrassing ourselves, and pointing the finger to other countries is not going to fix our own cities. It's not going to fix the crime rate. It's not going to fix the cultural implosion. And, you know, I think the way to do that is to we got to play a part. I have an announcement Monday. I'm going to take off and eat some lunch, and I want to keep this video pretty brief. So that's the story. Let me know what you think in the comment section. God bless you guys. Have a beautiful weekend. And that's what it is. It's been a rare Saturday episode of the Dream Rare podcast. Fortunately, I like my job, and it's more fun to do than not do. So I'm here on a weekend. All right. Have a good Sunday. If I don't see you, I'll be back Monday at least. Hey, what's going on, my friends? Just a few ways to stay in touch and support if you'd like to. The first way is dreamrare.com. We have blue beanies, black beanies, pink hats, other colored hats, freedom versus tyranny shirts, stay blessed long sleeve, God is great long sleeve, and lots of more cool items coming soon. Dreamrare.com. Check out the shop to support. Everything's made in the United States. Handpicked by me. Patreon.com/raretalk. For $5 a month, you can help support me, support the show. If you haven't noticed, unlike other channels, I don't work with very many sponsors, sometimes none at all. And part of the way I'm able to do that is with the dreamrare.com shop and patreon.com/raretalk. So thank you guys for keeping this show free, unimpeded, uninterrupted. I'm forever grateful. My free email list is stayintouchwithme.com. So check the links below in the description, or just type in on any browser, stayintouchwithme.com, all one word. You'll find my email list, put it in there, and it's the least annoying email list you'll ever be on. I barely use it because I don't like getting emailed every day or every week. It's annoying, so I don't do it. Stayintouchwithme.com. It helps me take back some power away from big tech. Telegram, t.me/dreamrarechat or @dreamrarechat. Due to censorship, I post all my live stream and videos there. Sometimes I have some bonus content, and I try to give people a heads up when Facebook or YouTube won't. Dream Rare Chat at Telegram. My Instagram is @dreamrare. Thanks for everybody following there for shorter content. And dreamrarelinks.com, that's dreamrarelinks.com, has all my stuff. My podcast on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, my music on Spotify and Apple, my Rumble page, my BitChute and Gab page. All my links are found at dreamrarelinks.com. Thanks for watching, folks. God bless you. You already know I'll be back with more content.